Welcome to our short-ish Nerd BS cast. This week, it's just going to be me and Tomas over here. How you doing, Tomas?
Hey, what's up?
We have great news, and I hope this isn't going to be too. I hope Kyle doesn't get mad at us, but Kyle's not here today because he had a little baby, and so he had to spend some time with his family. I mean, it's, I guess oh my, I can't speak. Po, pariah, why
Priorities.
priorities? What, I could not mix those two in my head. I wanted to do that O first, but anyways, so we've decided to just meet up together just because Kyle didn't even see the dang movie, so
hmm
we'll just do some discussion on the capital THE Suicide Squad. I think Tomas has a lot more. He was a lot more enthused about this than I was, but I did watch it twice, and I mean, I would say I enjoyed it both times. I wouldn't say more the second time or anything like that, but definitely enjoyed it. Why don't you start us off beyond that, Tomas?
All right. So yeah, I was pretty excited for it. I did have my reservations though, because we all know how DC's been doing, man. It's not been
Yeah,
great.
uh, I hate to cut you off, but I'm just going to say one more thing. Uh, this is spoilers. We're gonna have lots of
Oh,
spoilers.
yeah.
So yeah, we're not cutting any punches. So if you haven't seen it and you're like, oh man, I don't want to be spoiled, and I haven't been for some weird reason, uh, yeah, I would come back after you watched it. But after that warning, all right, you can hold your
Yeah.
you can pull. You don't have to pull your punches anymore. Go
All
for it.
right.
What do you got?
So yeah, I was really kind of nervous about it on the fence. I didn't know if it was going to be a prequel or a sequel or what they were doing with it. I don't know how you felt about it, but I really loved the direction they kind of took with it. Like they kind of acknowledged that the first one happened, but not really. You know what I mean?
I would have actually preferred a little more clear. I was
Oh yeah.
confused because when I started watching it, I didn't know what to expect because I guess there was I know they kind of beat around the bush about it if it was a sequel, if it was replacing it. Like they were
Mm.
getting a lot of the people back, but they obviously I don't know. I haven't seen the original of the, I don't know what you'd want to call it. At this moment, we'll just continue calling it the Academy Award winning version. But I
No.
don't remember. I don't remember who ended up who ended up dying or surviving in that one. So I don't know if anybody die in that one and then show back up in this one.
I don't
I'm
feel
not
like it.
sure
I don't feel like it. I feel like everyone that died in the first one did not come back in the second one. Uh,
because this is technically a sequel, right?
yeah, I
That's what we come
believe
down
I.
to.
That's what I believe was happening. Was that it was a sequel? Like I said, it's kind of hinted at, but never just clearly stated. Uh, but I really enjoyed it, and I don't know about you, but the opening scene for me just blew all expectations out of the water. Like I had no idea who was gonna live or die from here that moment on.
That's I mean that's definitely valid. I didn't know. I guess there kind of was a point where I assumed the people, but even that twisted me because the people I thought would survive, not all of them did. So
Yeah.
I guess yeah, you're right. It really kind of left this expectation at the beginning that anything can happen, anybody can perish. I mean, just in the beginning segments, because that was one of the big things in the promotional material was there was a lot of people in this movie, but I
Mm-hmm.
think it had to be two-thirds of the cast of the star quote unquote starring cast that everybody kept talking about perished within the
Yeah.
first. It couldn't be more than 20 minutes. Uh, like Nathan Fillion, like I knew he was in this, but and I even had to look up, my wife when we was, oh, that's Nathan Fillion. I was kind of excited, but he dies within first a little bit. I mean, he's a hilarious character.
Yeah.
Pete Davidson, I
Oh
was excited
yeah.
about him too, but even him is like he died really quick as well. So there's
Mm-hmm.
a lot of people like most of the cast of the first movie that showed up in this one. Well, I guess there was only uh, Boomerang, right? But he also
Yeah.
dies right in the
He
beginning as
dies
well.
right at the beginning.
So So it was just it was a nice starting scene, and even Savant, Michael Rooker's character,
Yeah,
who they were kind of focusing on like at the beginning, and I thought he was going to be a like you kind of got this weird idea that he was the new leader or some sort of
definitely.
uh, standout character, and then he ends up perishing as
Yeah.
well, really in a really interesting way. I mean, it was very humorous and exciting. I mean, I enjoyed the whole beginning sequence. It really it really nailed in your expectations for the entire
Hmm.
movie, which is good.
Yeah.
That's a good start.
Yeah. It definitely was. I agree with you completely on like especially Savant's character, like when they opened up with him and his ability, I guess, to understand where to place things. I don't know really what his power was, but like,
I didn't know either. I just assumed he was just like Bloodsport and Peacemaker because they did kind of that joke with Bloodsport and
yeah.
Peacemakers, like, what do you do? I do what you do, but better. And they kind
Yeah.
of like they're basically the same character, except for just different motivations. And I guess I kind of assumed Savant was on the same level, but yet at the
Yeah.
same time, I mean, he was obviously not as as courageous as the other two, or foolish, or whatever you want to say.
Yeah. Yeah, so that definitely threw me through a loop. I loved you brought up the thing with Bloodsport and Peacemaker. I loved their back and forths.
Yeah,
Uh I thought it, at first when I was watching it and they brought attention to the fact that yeah, they were the same person, I was kind of like, man, we've got the same people doing the same thing. But it was great though. I ended up
yeah.
really enjoying their contrast. Uh
Yeah, exactly. I agree wholeheartedly. They were both interesting. I mean, they were just basically what was the Bulls? It's not Bullseye, right? It's who is the one who's Will Smith's character in the first one?
oh, Deadshot.
It's Deadshot. There we go. It's the same concept, right? They're all
Hmm.
the same type of just ultra super soldiery characters that are just
Yeah.
really good at what they do. I mean, I guess Deadshot is more sniper kind of guy, right?
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, I think he does the same basic thing. They're
Yeah.
just really good.
They're just really good mercs.
Yeah, as the
But
idea. I mean, I don't know a lot of background on him. I'm not a huge DC buff, but I do know a bit. But yeah, but for sure.
Um, so I don't know. Do you now that we've kind of got an idea of how much I liked it? I mean, I could do this all day, but do you want to go by a bit by bit? Do you want to? How do you
Oh,
want to do
we
this?
could just move through. I mean, I really enjoyed the flow because we had the beginning, which
Hmm.
was a heavy action packed scene. Then you basically have two setups, which
Hmm.
was nice. Which seems redundant, but is done well. And then you get to your next team, the real stars of the movie, the
Yeah.
real Suicide Squad, besides the two that make their way over, which was Rick Flag and Harley Quinn eventually.
Hmm.
But we have our main Bloodsport Peacemaker, Rat Queen, or
Rat
what was
Catcher
it? The
Two.
Rat Catcher 2. That's right.
Yeah.
I was thinking about Rat King. I think Rat King's from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, but
Yeah.
it reminded me of that. And then you have Polka Dot Man, which is interesting.
Yeah.
Shark King, which I've always been a fan of, and so it's really
Yeah.
interesting to see him. Uh,
I really liked
Pretty
him
well
too.
done as well, CG wise.
Yeah. I
Was there
also
anybody else
thought
on their main team? I can't think of
uh
anything right. Anybody else on the main
okay, on the main
uh,
team.
team?
No, I think you mentioned more. Peacemaker,
Yeah, I think that's about
Bloodsport.
it. Which
Yeah.
is actually a really good. I think it was done well. I mean, even though there was about five of them that we needed to get to know throughout the whole movie. I mean, if this one is a sequel, we already kind of knew Rick Flag and Harley Quinn, which is
Hmm.
actually a pretty smart way they did that because they brought Rick Flag later, but you already knew him, so you didn't need to
Hmm.
get to know him like you did
Yeah.
with the other one. Same with Harley Quinn, you already knew
Yeah.
her, so you didn't need them. So we basically get through, and I think the first, besides before that, where King Shark almost eats Rat Cat 2, which was very humorous. But we get I love the scene where they invade the
Oh yeah.
what ends up being the resistance essentially in the place, which I thought was hilarious. They're running through doing their badassery,
Yeah.
but it just kind of shows you that they don't even know what they're in for. Like they
Yeah.
kind of they're in to kill things, and they don't really think. that they may have to like actually converse and
Yeah.
a bit of politics. So they don't. They just immediately assume he's captured. We're gonna kill. We're gonna
Yeah.
find him.
I
So I don't
I
know what you thought
loved
about.
that scene too. I thought it was great. Just real quick though, another thing I wanted to mention, and you kind of touched on
Uh-huh.
this with how it transitions through the movie. I loved the the way they titled in the things. Like he uses
Oh
the
yeah.
environment to
Hmm.
yeah, I just really loved that too because it didn't
Yeah, it
take me
was.
out. Like
Yeah, they did a really good job with it. It did it like you said. It didn't take you out. It was also it was artistically done, so it
mhm,
wasn't like it wasn't invasive.
mhm.
But at the same time, it was also humorous, like where they show the mission and then it switches like Operation. What was it? Operation something, and then it switches to Operation Harley. Like when they realize
Yeah,
that Harley's alive.
it was like uh, Operation. I want to say Operation Asgard, but that's not right. Um,
Yeah, I'm not 100%, but I know it comes back later.
yeah,
But anyways, yeah, but it was an interesting idea. They switched it between fire and then they went to like it went out and it was the smoke,
yeah.
which was it was done well. Um,
Uh, but yeah, I did love that beginning part. Like you said, I loved watching again the banter between Bloodsport and
and
Peacemaker.
Peacemaker, yeah.
I especially love. I think this is probably my favorite line of a movie so far is nobody likes to show off unless what you're showing off is that fucking good.
Yeah,
uh,
of course.
and Bloodsport's like, ah, he's right.
He's- yeah,
um,
definitely. That was interesting.
I I
Um,
did I did struggle a bit with the Harley scene, and it might be because I'm not a huge Margot Robbie fan.
Margaret Robbie. Yep.
Yeah, it's not that I don't mind her, and it's not that I think she's a bad actress. I don't I don't know. I feel like she was chosen for Harley kind of I feel like there were other people that they wanted for Harley that didn't step up, and so she got chosen. I could be wrong though. I do
I
admire
have
her
no
for
idea.
filling the role and stuff. She's definitely embodied it, but
Yeah,
I
she's
still
done a
am
really good
not.
job with it.
Yeah, but that whole scene with the president that kind of confused me. I don't know about you, but that kind of confused me.
It
I was
confused
like,
you.
yeah, I was like,
What
so
exactly confused you about it?
the more the president's motives. I was like, what is this guy
Oh,
trying to accomplish? Like I know he
it sounds like he
says
was just trying to accomplish. At least I got that he was just trying to accomplish the same thing that the general was accomplishing. I mean, they're just trying to
that
get
he was trying to do it
build up their
through.
state, but
Okay.
he was doing it in a romantic way because his
Oh
partner
yeah.
basically said he was always a romantic. Like he was trying to do it in
Oh,
a
see, I
more
didn't even catch that. I didn't even catch that.
yeah.
So good on you, because I didn't even catch that. Because that probably would have made more sense to me about that scene if I had caught that. But yeah, I was just watching that scene like, I mean, I guess it's all right. I mean, it's definitely a Harley scene. I loved how it ended with her shooting and then
Yeah,
shock.
that was actually it actually surprised me, to be honest. I wasn't sure where they were going with it. But when she finishes him off, it really again shows the sequel stuff where it's a soft sequel of the
Hmm.
original. Because in the original you did get more of a backstory about her and the Joker than this one, even though I mean most people know about her and the Joker as a couple. But this kind of leaned back into that
Yeah.
as basically she says she has bad taste in men, and
Hmm.
which what gave us a surprising scene where she shoots him, and then we do get her escape, which I don't know if you heard that apparently that wasn't like set up. I mean it was, but I mean she did the key thing on her own,
Oh,
which is
really?
pretty impressive. Yeah, that was
Okay.
not just like camera angles and stuff. She's just very naturally acrobatic, and so
See,
I guess she just
like that's what I mean about Margot Robbie. I do appreciate the effort she has put into the role. So I'm not trying to.
yeah.
For all you fans out there, I'm not trying to say that her as an actress has done a poor job at this. I feel like more honestly, I feel like it's more of a thing of I feel like they chose not even I don't even know how to really explain it. I'm just gonna stop rambling. But
Well, yeah, she's great. She's doing a great job,
yeah.
and she definitely and she very much portrays this character very well. Uh, but I did kind of skip over the little scene where they head to the town, which is
Hmm.
actually a really good scene, and we get the where the King Shark would like to join them in their disguises and stuff like that, and infiltrating. And I love the line where he says he wants to join them, and forget who says it, but somebody says, "What are you gonna do? Put on a mustache?" I
Mustache.
thought that was pretty funny.
Yeah. Um,
Which I thought was pretty funny.
I also
But I
do.
think
Go ahead. Go ahead.
oh, I was just it's just the character was done really well, and I think they
Yes.
needed that bulky, kind of dumb character, not another powerful portrayal like the rest of them. I mean, he was a good character, but
Yes.
he didn't drown anybody else out, even though
Mm,
he was really fun to have around.
yeah. And I actually, I I will kid you not. So at the beginning of the movie, I noticed that, Stallone's name came up, Sylvester Stallone, and I was like, "Oh, okay, he's in this,"
Really?
Yeah, and I'm watching it, and I know, like, probably like you were like, "I
Oh
haven't
yeah, that's
seen him
right.
once," and
Yeah.
it wasn't
Hmm.
until the end of the movie when I was reading the credits that I was like, "Oh, he was King Shark." I didn't.
Yeah, I forgot about that, but you're right. I knew that a while ago, but until you just brought it up, I had no idea that that was actually him. I didn't think about it in the movie. So it's kind
Yeah,
of like a Vin Diesel thing where Vin Diesel was
yeah.
Groot, but I mean, okay. I mean, I guess he did a good job, so
Yeah,
good to go on him.
I was impressed with it. I enjoyed it a lot. I loved the scene where they were breaking down the characters' backstories.
Yeah. Oh
Um,
yeah.
I thought that was done far better than it was done in the first one. Like I I don't know how you felt, but in the first one I never related at all to Deadshot's character. I was like, yeah, whatever, he wants to save his girl, understandable, move on. I I found myself relating to a lot of these characters, and I found myself relating to even Bloodsport, who I was like, "Oh, this is going to be another Deadshot." But I thought it did a good job of showing Bloodsport turn from basically a merc with absolutely no morals to a
Hmm.
merc with some conscience of, yeah, we've got to do the right thing here. Like, I
Yeah,
really liked it.
they did a good job at making him grow as a character,
Hmm.
and even John Cena's character Peacemaker,
Yeah.
he also grew, but he grew in a different way. Like
Yes.
he was interesting, but he let Bloodsport's character do the growing, the more
Mature.
I don't have to be like a bad, I'm more mature. Whereas you
Yeah.
get Peacemaker, who technically didn't grow, but he did this betrayal at the end, which was
Hmm.
really, I was really on point, and it was surprising, but at the same time, it was done really well.
Yeah.
Um, so I liked that. I loved the Ratcatcher
Oh
2 storyline,
yes.
even though it was kind of
Yes.
a side nod, but I thought it was done really well.
Yeah.
It made me care for her even more. I mean,
A lot.
like we've said multiple times, I mean, James Gunn did a really good job at making these characters very relatable and
Yeah.
very interesting. Each of them were very interesting. Uh, yeah, for
I
and we get like we got the bars. Okay, go ahead. You got something else?
I was just gonna say I loved also the fact that the javelin moved through the whole story. Like, he gives it to
Oh
Harley,
yeah, yeah.
and then Harley. I did love that too. I I mean I found the movie so refreshing from a DC fan standpoint. I like DC. I always have, and I've been waiting for another really good movie. I really enjoyed Shazam. I really enjoyed the first Wonder Woman, but I I've always felt like there was a lack of understanding the characters completely in those movies. Wwhereas
Yeah.
I
I
I
think
feel
it's
like
because of
this.
Yeah, I think it's just because of Zack Snyder. I mean,
Yeah.
he does it very differently. But then again, we had Wonder Woman 1984, which I don't think Zack Snyder had much to do with. I know he was a producer, I'm pretty sure, but I
Mhm.
don't think he did as much. There's a lot more wrong with that one. But yes, but you could definitely tell James Gunn is a director that knows how to do people,
Mhm.
uh, and also like I mean this obviously stinks of Guardians of the Galaxy because I mean
Yes, it does. Yes,
he
it does. It's true.
which is not a bad thing. It's not a bad thing. It's a great. I mean, Guardians. I would say is a much more lighthearted than this one,
Yes.
but it does. This one does have a lot of the same. It hits a lot of the same notes, but the humor and everything, character
Mhm.
relations and things like that, which is definitely for sure. But before hitting on, I don't think there's really a lot of notes we need to hit. I mean, if you want to watch the movie. But I
Yeah.
think one of the big things we can talk about, and I think we should talk about, is Starro, the real
Yeah.
villain, which I thought was amazing. This is a silly looking character that I have not seen in much beyond comic books. I think he might be in a movie at some point, but even if he is a giant starfish and very silly, I loved the way. The starfish on people's faces and stuff like that. I love the way that stuff looked. It looked
Yes.
really cool. They made him comic booky and almost silly looking, but at the same time very terrifying,
Yeah.
which I really enjoyed. And I just it caught me off guard that they would actually utilize
Mhm.
someone that weird, to be honest,
Yeah.
is a very weird character, but also a big staple in the DC universe
Yeah.
that just seems to be ignored, especially in the movies. So I
Mhm.
was really excited to see him show up. And I know, and one thing I keep going, I'm going to jump all over the place here, for the simple fact that you brought this up, or you tried to bring this up. I think we were talking before. We haven't even talked about Polka Dot Man, and
It's
you had
true.
a interesting theory about him. And also, I mean, I think he's probably one of the most characters, if you can, every character is very interesting, but he has a very distinct, like when they said Polka Dot Man was going to be this, I had
Yeah.
I had no expectations. I was like, okay,
Yeah.
he's a throwaway. That's what he
Yep.
is. But they really play really well, and I really liked even though the silliness of him thinking everybody is his mom and crap like that, it was a little silly. But even then, he was still an interesting character. Like he was the only one monitoring like their names and stuff. As
Uh-huh.
at the end, like he knew who what was his name. Uh, Mitchell,
The
Michael. I want to say Michael, but it's not Michael. It
the
was something
cab
else.
driver guy.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
he was like, he's been here for so long. It's like, why did
Yeah.
why did he come in here with us? And like
Yeah.
nobody remembers him, and even Harley thinks that
That Bloodsport is
Bloodsport's
the
name
guy.
is him.
Yeah.
Yeah, that he's talking about, and it was just an interesting little callback. But yeah, but you had some stuff about Polka Dot Man, so why don't
Yeah.
we go over
So,
that real quick?
real quick, Polka Dot Man. First of all, for those of you that can see a face really well or recognize the name really well, that guy was the Joker thug in Dark Knight Rises. That not Rises, Dark Knight. Yeah, just Dark Knight. In Dark Knight, that Harvey interrogates. And he actually used to be a comic book writer, and he got his first gig on the Nolan film. That was like his first actual big screen gig. And since then, he's popped up in Ant-Man, and now he's here in this is Polka Dot Man. And so the theory that got spread around, I don't know if it's still being spread around, but the theory that was being spread around at first was that this Suicide Squad was based off of the Nolan universe because it had the guy from it had Joker's lackey in it. Uh, I don't know if it's true. I don't think it's true. Uh, but I don't know. I guess people will find stuff wherever they can. Uh, it. I don't know if Nolan. I don't know if Nolan and Gunn have a friendship with each other, and that's why the actor was recommended to him. I don't really know, but I know that was the theory. I also loved Polka Dot Man because he's a total Batman rogue in the comics. One of the worst. I mean, he's up there with Condiment King. Um, and so I really
That's
liked
instantly who
seeing,
I think about when I think about Polka Dot Man. Yeah,
yeah,
Condiment King.
and so I really liked seeing this Polka Dot Man because, again, like Gunn did with everything else, he made me fall in love with it. You know,
Yeah, it was done well. Yeah, for sure. Like that's what this the Suicide Squad is supposed to be. I mean, is supposed to
hmm
be a bunch of ridiculous villains that have basically fallen on their faces and are now have been arrested and in a prison, and the only way for them to get out is to do these suicided missions. And so I
hmm
think that works, and I think more rogues in these
yes,
if they continue them, which we don't know because I know it didn't do us super well, unfortunately.
which was a
But
shock
if
to
we do,
me. I don't know about to you, but it was a
it
shock to
wasn't
me.
to me for the simple fact that it's confusing. The
hmm
original, like we kind of brushed upon this, I think, in our last episode, where it's Suicide Squad and the Suicide Squad. So your average Joe may not
Yeah.
understand or know, like, is this a remake? Is it a re-release?
hmm
And I think the name itself has made it confusing for that fact.
hmm
But yeah, I don't know. Is there any? I mean, I loved a lot of the stuff with Starro. I mean, I
Oh
don't
yeah.
anything else that you could think of that in this movie
I
that you
did.
really just want to brush upon?
I mean, honestly, I could, like I said before, I could movie you guys go watch it. It was so fun. But and other than my hope that I really, really, really hope that they do it again. And man, I can't stand Waller. I cannot stand Waller. Like,
I think she's supposed to be
yeah,
because when we had the whole scene when they turned on her, I thought that was really good for the simple fact that the I think the audience couldn't stand her, and that was the
yeah,
point. Is she treated these people like tools? They were not they're objects and tools to for her to dispose of and use as her whim at her whim, and that was supposed to be. I mean, in all actuality, she's really the main villain in this, and
yeah,
I think that's the idea is that she's the villain, they're the heroes now, and and now we have Star of the Conqueror. But even Star of the Conqueror, at the end, which
was
was actually heartbreaking, he
yeah,
basically just says, "All I wanted to do was float in space."
yeah,
And I was completely fine, like floating in space, watching the stars, and
right,
like they brought him there. It was their
yeah,
fault, and like you kind of felt for him, like yeah, it is their fault, and
yeah,
you've
like
been
who?
stuck here for I don't know, way too many years at this
Yes,
point. Like it. No
it
wonder you're
was.
pissed.
Yeah, I know. I totally understand. Like, yeah, I was the same way. I was just like, man, but I love that. It's man, it just boils down to, like I said, man. There's so much to just love in this movie. I can't do this all night though.
Yeah, of course. I just wanted to end on one little bit of trivia. Did you know that James Gunn, originally as the villain, he wanted Superman.
Oh, really?
He wanted to do the Suicide Squad versus Superman, which I think is a storyline
Yeah,
as well that has been done before. So I think he wanted to do that, but
yeah,
it sounds like DC didn't want to dig in that far. And you know what? I think I'm okay with that. I think right
yeah.
now this is probably but I'm not saying I'd never want that story told because I
hmm
would love it, but I think it's being told in the video game,
It
right? I
is.
think they're kind of brushing on that, and maybe that's part
Yes.
of the reason. Uh, or maybe they just don't have their crap together yet. Like maybe
Yeah.
DC's like, we're not ready to start experimenting with storylines yet. We need to try to fix our DC universe right now, and we'll get back to that when we can. Like we got one good movie out, but even then it didn't make that much money.
Yeah.
Especially right after Wonder Woman 1984, which was that
Hmm.
was awful.
S-
But
uh,
anyways, so obviously you really like this. So what what
yes.
what would you give this movie? You probably the top, but what do you think? You could surprise me.
Yeah. So
I think we said
I'm
it on the show, on the last show, but what do you got?
I'm gonna say that it was, and I believe this is the right one. Correct me if I'm wrong, but excellent, right? Or very good. Which one was it?
It doesn't matter. It's the top one. I got it. So it's amazing. So you
Yes.
would probably watch this again, and
Yes.
it's a great movie. Wonderful. Uh, is there any reason for that? Do you want to give any synopsis to that decision, or are you good
So
with just
my
that?
reasoning behind it would be essentially for a lot of the points that I made. The character development was very strong. It was done well. The movie was long, and yet it didn't feel like it got dragged down. Um, the actors in it, I thought, were picked wonderfully for the different roles that they were to portray. They did a great job of portraying them. Like I even said about the Margot Robbie thing, I'm not a huge fan of her, but she works hard to make that Harley believable, and I appreciate that, you know. So I I honestly think that's what it breaks down to, is that, and also I'll be honest, it's also because it was so much better than the first one that I have that much love for it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I completely understand. Personally, I think I would also give it an excellent, especially when you compare it to previous movies. But I actually watched it a second time, and I try not to love this one as much as I did because I just felt like when you compare it to a lot of the Marvel movies, it
Yeah.
is probably on par, and that's good. It's on par.
Mm-hmm.
It's a good movie. But when you compare it to the DC movies, it's above and beyond. Like it's
Yeah.
way better than the majority of the DC ones that have come out recently. Now there's some ones that are older that are better, but right now, like
Mm-hmm.
this is a breath of fresh air.
Yes.
And so we're actually a bit higher, and I kind of wanted to end with the Metacritic. Just gonna go here the
All right,
Metacritic
let's see what
score.
they did. Let's
So
see what they did.
so we got yeah. So we have the Metacritic score. So this is our critic score. This is our average critic. If you can go to Metacritic.com and look these up, this is our average critic score based off 53 critic reviews. We got a 72. Um, it's good. It's
It's
not
not
amazing, but it's good.
it's not
Yeah.
as bad as I thought they were gonna give it, and I'm glad about that. Because I was really worried with the taste of the other Suicide Squad in people's mouths, it was not gonna get a good review. So
Yeah, for sure. And the user score, which is based off of 750, well, it's matching that with a 7.2,
okay.
which hey, they're on point. So looks
Yeah.
like people like nobody's bombed this or anything. Everybody thinks it's a good movie. We may have liked a little bit more, but that's because we like this stuff a little bit more.
Mhm.
But that doesn't hurt. But anyways, well, I loved having this conversation with you, Tomas.
Yes, so did I.
We got this. Yeah, we got the Suicide Squad. We kept talking about it, and we got it out. So
Mhm.
I hope you guys enjoyed it, and if you did, just comment, message us, whatever. All that information will be down below, and hopefully we'll see you next time when we have a much longer episode about all sorts of topics on
Yep.
Nerd BS. So we'll see you next time. Later.
Bye.